Hi, folks. It's been a while. Um, anyway, let's just jump into things. The overall theme of recent videos that I have made on YouTube has been putting things right in my life that have gone wrong um, without me noticing. Um, Not really serious things, just, things that contribute to unhappiness or discontent. And I've been continuing to try and put things right. I sort of recognized that maybe 5, 6 years ago, um, I had more contentment in my life than I have now. So, one of the things that I was doing about 6 years ago was I was riding a bicycle to work every day. I ended up buying a motorcycle and passing the test for that, and I've been doing that for the past 4 to 5 years. But I decided, as a sort of a New Year's resolution, to get back to riding a bicycle to work. Now, I know this is not something that everybody can do. My workplace is only about maybe 2.5 to 3 miles from where I live, so it's convenient to ride a bicycle. Um, Sorry, that her is really annoying me. um, so, so the experience of doing that, right? First day, literally first day back to work after Christmas, and I get on the bicycle and I'm thinking, oh, I'm not looking forward to this, and because it takes effort. And but I get to work, and maybe I'm sweating a little bit, and but I don't really seem to smell too much when I sweat. At least I hope I don't. That's a good vegan diet or vegetarian diet. Maybe, I don't know, but my mental state is just so much better after I've had morning exercise like that than it is when I have simply sat on a motorcycle, or in your case probably driven a car, where you're not expending any energy. So if you woke up in the morning in a bad mood, you tend to take that bad mood with you. But the experience of cycling to work is a mood changing experience, simply because of the effect that the exercise has on you physiologically. I won't say, every morning is a perfect morning. I'm not saying that, but there is this noticeable difference. And another thing is that this is especially apparent, after a working day when you have to cycle home again. But the very fact that it takes effort to get from work to home, when you get home, your mood is so much different, because it's like, because it took that effort. Now, I have a sedentary job. I work in front of a computer for the most part, although I am running around the building and everything, trying to fix problems all over the place. But a large part of my job involves sitting. So the fact that I have to make an effort to get home, especially, if it's bad weather, maybe I've had to cycle home through the rain. You get home and you're confronted with this immediate change from hostile environment outside to the warm comfort of your house. You don't really get to feel that if you just go home in a car. There's something, I'm trying to put this, there's a principle here that I'm trying to describe, and it's to do with, if you have hardship, it makes the getting back to normality all the sweeter. You know what I mean? I remember, when I was a teenager doing a paper round, I can remember doing it in the middle of winter when there was snow on the ground, and I was going around in my bicycle with my my paper bag over the shoulder. My hands were freezing as I was taking the papers out, putting them into letter boxes, and I'd maybe be at this for 45 minutes to an hour after school. But then there's the feeling of going home and your mother making your tea for you. Maybe it would have been fish and chips or something. After the hardship, I'm using that word hardship very, very loosely. What I'm getting at is, if your life is this total equilibrium of ease, that's not as interesting as a life that goes like this, up and down all the time. So, putting something into your life that actually increases the hardship a little bit makes your life better. Now, I know some people have lives where they're enduring hardships that they really want to get out of. I totally understand that. But I'm really addressing people whose lives are not like that, whose lives are just filled with humdrum ease, where it's incredibly boring and everything's the same, everything's routine, there is no adventure, everything is just get up in the morning, drive to work, do your job, drive home, eat, watch TV, crap, sleep, get up, all the rest. This routine where there are no ups and downs. It can be good to make your life a little bit harder on yourself. And that's part of the reason why I want to keep to the cycling and not go back to using the motorcycle. I don't think I'm going to sell the motorcycle. I think I want to hang on to it for times when I need to travel further afield. But I want to keep up the cycling. Also, when you think about the sheer benefit to the body that having that kind of exercise does. So let's say it's 3 miles. Let's make a conservative estimate, 2.5 miles. So there and back, I'm doing 5 miles a day. There's 25 miles a week. 4 weeks in a month. 100. Okay? There's 100 miles a month that I'm doing that I wouldn't otherwise be doing. There's 1,200 miles a year. Of course, there's going to be some holiday periods there. 1,000, there's a conservative estimate, 1,000 miles of cycling per year that I would not be doing. 1,000 miles of bicycle exercise that I would not be getting if I decided to simply use a motorcycle or a car. It has an effect on your overall fitness. I gotta say, I have been struggling to lose weight the last couple of years. I've gained weight actually, but I've noticed it starting to come off in the month that I've been, the month that is just month and a half actually, that has just passed. I've lost weight, and the only lifestyle change I've made is just the early mornings. I think it's the morning more than anything. It's the fact that you're getting out of bed. Having a very sparse breakfast. My breakfast is basically just a rush job. I get a cup of tea in me and some toast and peanut butter, and that's it. So you're immediately engaging in fat burning activity rather than your body. When you have a meal in you and the meal is digested, the energy is there to be burned up through exercise. But in the morning time, you're immediately doing fat burning exercises because you don't have any energy in you. It's all stored. I think I'm describing that correctly. Maybe not. But that's the only explanation I have, that I'm losing the weight because of the early morning exercise. So yeah, all good reasons. We have this terrible urge in ourselves to make life as easy as possible for ourselves. And all it really contributes to is ill health. I mean, look at the obesity that there is in America, for instance. The quest for ease, it's so misguided. I'm old enough to remember when televisions didn't have remote controls. I remember televisions where you had to get up and walk over to the TV to adjust the volume, and the way you changed channels was this knob that actually changed the frequency that the aerial was tuned to. Now we just lie back on the sofa and go like this. Not really a good thing, really. You just don't get the exercise of getting up and changing the channel manually. And then we have cars. This always struck me as absurd. We have cars where, the car stereo is right there. It's within reach. If you want to change the track on your CD or change the radio channel, you just go tap. But no, we have to have the special thing that we just go, or we don't even have we don't even have to take our hand off the steering wheel. It's just the button is right there on the steering wheel. I don't know. Maybe there's another reason for that. Maybe it's just to do with safety, so you don't take your eyes off the road. I don't know, but it just seems crazy to me. So yeah, I guess this is just a short video about, I don't know what I'll call it, maybe the misguided quest for ease or something like that. So yeah, that's one of the things again that I have put right in my life, and that increases my sense of well-being a little bit more than it was before. Another thing that I've been thinking about also is, you all know I've got this book coming out, Universe, at some point this year, hopefully, by Skylight Press. I've had this mental picture of what I want to try and turn my life into as a result of that book. I want to try and get some kind of speaking engagements where I talk about spirituality and philosophy and stuff like that. To really take the stuff that I do on YouTube and do it in front of a live audience, have question and answer sessions. I don't know how really I'm going to make anything like that happen, but it's this kind of, I kind of elevated it in my mind as this ambition that I have to do, and that was actually contributing to stress that I didn't need to have, because I took stock of this and I realized, hang on a minute, you don't have to do this. You don't have to do anything. And in fact, it's very important to realize that your life exists right here, right now. And that all futures that you project are that. They are projections. They are will-o'-the-wisp. They are not real. They only become real as experiences of the now, of the present. So get focused back on the present again. I was listening to Jack Saturday, and he's more active on Facebook these days than he is on YouTube. Brilliant philosopher. I don't know whether he would like that term, but I think he's really good thinker, and he has a way of saying things that are very pithy and just stick in your head. And one of the things he said was, he gets you to face reality. One of the things he said was, you're on an island spinning around and around a time bomb. The sun, it's a time bomb, right? That's what it is. Whatever you do, whatever, way you think about life, you can't ignore that big picture right there. It's so funny when you think about it. We're on an island spinning around a time bomb. And what it impresses upon me is to get in touch with the playfulness of life, that this is not serious. not to forget that, this is all going to go boom one day. And yes, I think the boom is just, it's not a forever boom, it's kind of like a reset button more than anything. Ultimately speaking, I don't think anything really dies. All life is a recycling process of one kind or another throughout the universe, and many universes before and after, probably. Whole other subject, right? But we have the problem, you see, of why there is a universe in the first place. So if there's one, why not more than one? That's the way of thinking, But, I don't have to become some kind of personality here, some kind of, I don't have to be famous. I don't have to be, somebody like Eckhart Tolle, Alan Watts, better example. I don't have to, none of that has to happen. It's enough that I am right here, right now, doing something that other people find useful, and that I get the pleasure of being useful in that way. And that, of course, I'm open to greater things happening, but if they don't, that's okay too. Anything else is just my ego on a trip, and I got to be careful about that as well. Another aspect of the quest for ease is the fact that I'm in the enviable position that I can organize my life in such a way that I would never have to work again. Now let me explain. This is not a boast of any kind, because I'm not intending to stop working, and I'll explain that in a minute. But the death of my parents left me with an additional house. So I've got my own house, which is pretty much paid for, and I've got my parents' house, which is also paid for, and I've got savings because they left me money. So I'm sitting pretty financially, very enviable position. I also live in such a way that I don't have a lot of expenditure in my life. I don't have a family to support, and I don't have a very materialistic attitude in general. I could afford a flashy sports car. I have no interest whatsoever in buying something like that. So I could rent out my dad's house, which is now my house, quit my job, and live entirely on the income provided from that rental. It would be much less than the income provided from my job, but I have far too much income. My job is not a high paying job, it's very average. It's just the fact that I'm not very materialistic, I don't spend a lot of money, is what allows my savings to build up and up. So the secret to being wealthy is learning how to desire less, which is something I do very well. It's not about making more money, it's about realizing all the stuff you don't need and stopping being a reckless spendthrift. But here's the thing, right? I did not choose to do that. I chose to sell my dad's house, get rid of it because it's a burden. It's an emotional burden, if you know what I mean. So the money will just go into my bank account, and I'll have to figure out something to do with that, because currently I have no desire to do anything with it, but I guess I'll figure something out with that. But the real reason why I cannot bear the thought of quitting my job and enjoying the ease that would provide is because I know that is an illusion. You see, my job, it's in a school, right? So every summertime there's a 2-month break where I'm still working for the most part, but all the teachers are on holiday and all the kids are on holiday. So there's just the technical staff and caretaker and whatnot actually working through the summer. So the fact that I have no family and have very little social interaction in work during that period, I know from experience that that has a very bad effect on me, where I feel very keenly that isolation is not a good thing. Community is a really, really important thing, and my job provides me with some form of community. This is kind of like a whole other topic than what I wanted to get into, but I suppose we might as well raise it now. Here's the thing, when you become an individualist, when you realize that you have to overcome your cultural and religious brainwashing, it can have the effect of isolating you. Sometimes to a large extent, sometimes to not so large an extent. For me, I lost a few friendships. The community that I had once been a part of in terms of church was now gone, although I had let go of that even before that. But I do remember, one of the good things about being a Christian for a large part of that time was the sense of community at church. And it sort of pains me to think that some people really don't know what they've got, because you would go to church and you would see that a lot of people just can't wait to get out the door once the service is over. But I was more in the habit of hanging around and chatting with people. That was, it was about relationship to me more than anything, whereas to some people it was about doing some kind of duty so you didn't have to feel guilty before God. And there's nothing that has really replaced that for me. And I've often thought actually that it might be an idea to try and start some kind of non-religious, spiritual, philosophical, local community project. I don't know. Some kind of alternative to church. Just here in my town. Maybe even start it off as a kind of a house meeting in my home or something. I don't know. It's worth thinking about. Because I know that feeling cut off from your fellow man is a very toxic thing for the mind. It tends to make you go a bit batty, actually, temporarily. It provokes feelings of depression. So as I was saying, work provides some form of community for me, even though there's nobody there that I could really call a friend. There's certainly colleagues, but it's just, it's a place where I fulfill a role. I'm an IT technician. I fulfill a role where I'm needed. And it's really important to feel needed. Even if that need is purely practical in nature. That's why I know that to not work is a bad thing. I don't really look upon myself as a wage slave. Now I know this is not an attitude that everybody can adopt, because not everybody enjoys their job. I don't fully enjoy my job. I don't know that anybody really does, but I did strike it lucky, I feel, with the job that I got. I've been in the same place for 16 years now, and the work is very suited to the particular talents that I have. People need me there. And that is very good for my mind. It's very good for my emotional state to be needed in that way, especially when you're a guy like me who does not have a family. So that's why, again, to relate this back to our original topic of the quest for ease, the easiest route to be completely useless, to have all your time devoted to just you, just number one, so you can watch TV, play video games or whatever, even go out cycling or whatever, just whatever you do, it's all for you. You can do whatever you want, a life of perfect ease. It's not good for the mind. You need to feel like you're a part of something larger than yourself. Why is that? I think it's just how we're designed. If we go right back to caveman days, well, not caveman days, but prehistoric times when man was a hunter-gatherer, lived in a community, didn't really have a sense of self that could be divorced from his community in the way that we have now. We feel very isolated from each other now. But a person's life and the life of his tribe were one and the same. The tribe needed you and you needed the tribe, and it was all mutually interdependent in that way. Whereas we now feel that we are this alienated thing that has to get its own way, that has to rise above everybody and trample over everybody and compete with everybody so that number one can win the game. No, we need to get back a sense of community. And the only place currently that I can find that, now maybe I just lack imagination, maybe I do, but currently I find that in my job. It's not perfect by any means. There are things that annoy me. I guess that's true of any job. But it's better to have it than not to have it. So again, I don't want the kind of ease that gives me a life that is entirely self-serving. I think the reason why we get depressed in a kind of a life like that is because a mind that realizes that it exists only to serve itself and nothing beyond itself is suddenly confronted by its I'm struggling to put this in a way. I can formulate it in my mind, but it's hard to put this into words. You don't exist for any purpose other than yourself. So it's like, why am I here? It's like you're suddenly confronted with the meaninglessness, the pointlessness of your own life because you don't serve a function. Yeah. Okay. We've talked about a lot of things. I think that's all I got for this time. I'll see you later, folks. Take care.